been 6 months to the day since Hurricane Maria tore through Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands. Since then, millions have slowly been picking up the pieces, and Eva Pilgrim is in Puerto Rico, where Maria made landfall. And Eva, good morning to you.
Good morning, Michael. Yeah, you can still see the damage from this storm. Those trees back there bear the blue tarps on the roof. We're actually standing on a roof right now, and you can see some of these volunteers. They are scraping this roof. They will then seal this roof to help repair it for one homeowner. We are 6 months out, and so much work has been done, but there is still so much left to do.
Hurricane Maria ripped through the island of Puerto Rico, a Category 4 storm, almost a 5, with winds at 155 miles per hour. Carmen Torres watched from a neighbor's house across the street as Maria destroyed her San Lorenzo home.
The living room.
This is the living room.
The kitchen.
6 months later, she is still staying with her sister. They don't have power. Her home, a shell of what it once was. All that's left, the concrete walls and part of the bathroom.
What of all the stuff here has been the hardest thing to lose?
La casa.
The house.
We first made the journey here days after the storm. The bridge from Morovis to San Lorenzo, gone.
This used to be part of the bridge that has now completely collapsed in the force of Hurricane Maria.
The only lifeline, this cable stretching across the rushing river. Families forced to make a white-knuckle crossing.
So what are you having to do?
We got to cross, we got to walk little by little.
Today, the river is down. Cars able to cross. The new bridge almost done. A sign of the recovery for this community, still going without on both sides. People waiting patiently for the power to be restored. FEMA says at one point it gave out 1,800 generators across the island. 885 are still in use. For Hurricane Katrina in both Mississippi and Louisiana, at its max, they only gave out 310.
The bad news is it was tragic. Okay, the good news is we get a chance to build it back the right way.
How long will you guys be here?
As long as it takes, but 5 to 10 years is not outside the realm of the possible.
The Army Corps of Engineers is hoping to have full power restored on the island by June.
But right now we're at about 93% of customers connected. Of course, the last mile, as they call it, is really the toughest one to get to.
In Yabucoa, where Maria made landfall, most are still without power.
Todavía tenemos cerca del 65% de la población sin servicio de energía eléctrica.
The mayor telling us they've spent almost $350,000 fueling generators just to pump clean water into the community. Today, he says the recovery, slow, is happening thanks to volunteers he calls angels, but the remnants of Maria piled nearby, reminders of the damage, but also a reminder of how far they've come.
FEMA says there are millions of cubic yards of debris. Take a look. With this drone, you can see this one pile from one town, just metal, all from Hurricane Maria.
Down the road, we checked on Maria Ortiz, who frantically begged for help when our own Rob Marciano first met her after the storm.
I want the world to know there's a lot of old people here in Puerto Rico that they need help.
Today, she has power. The lights coming on just a few days ago.
We got light, we got the AC.
The first real sense that old normal is possible.
You know what I miss? The noise. And I realized that, oh yeah, it's true, the noise.
A normal that Carmen Torres back in San Lorenzo is still waiting for. She knows it will take time, but she plans to rebuild because this is home.
You're rebuilding.
And it's important to note that San Juan is actually pretty much back to normal, and the governor telling us they want and need people to know they are open for business. This economy is so dependent on tourism, and one of the things that you can actually do is simply just to visit, guys.
Yeah, really important. Really important. A lot of help. You can see the recovery is really slow. A lot of help is still needed. And, 155 mile per hour winds. Rob, you were there when it made landfall.
It was a terrifying night and following morning for sure. And after the storm passed, we drove down to where actual landfall was. And boy, even mentioned 80% of the crops gone. We saw millions of trees obliterated like an atomic bomb went off. And then when we got to Yabucoa, we saw desperate people in line for water. We met Maria, who took us to this nursing home. And, you know, our viewers stepped up. CEO of Invicta Watch saw our report, and he packed up his private jet and flew it down there the next week to stock Maria up. And it's just part of the ongoing process. And hats off to the Americans that have supported it.
It was so great to see her in Eva's piece and how well she's doing. And David, you were there too. You were there too after the aftermath, and you saw firsthand.
Yeah, this was the crazy thing. 15 minutes from the airport when you land in San Juan, we went to this one apartment building, and it still had no power, no running water, no food, and we walked in. They were just waiting for help, and we knew the president was going to be coming to Puerto Rico, and we knew this location was just going to be 10, 15 minutes from where he was, and no one had been to these buildings yet. This is Lisbeth Delgado. From the U.S., but she was there taking care of her parents. Doctors hadn't come to check on them. We sent our team back there yesterday. The building now has power. They all have food, water, and medicine again. And the incredible thing is, look at this. There were Good Samaritans watching the news, and they answered the call. Angel and Patsy Gomez were waiting at the airport here in New York. They brought Lisbeth and her parents back to the United States so that her parents could get medical help here. But you can't forget nearly 3 million U.S. citizens in Puerto Rico. U.S. citizens in Puerto Rico. A lot of people, you know, that was lost on a lot of people in the middle of that disaster.
That's true. That's true.
And Robert, I know that you visited another region that was devastated, the U.S. Virgin Islands.
Yes, because they had that 1-2 punch, and there was a lot of focus on Puerto Rico, and rightfully so. But the Virgin Islands were raising their hands, saying, "What about us?" And like everything that you saw in Puerto Rico, so many people there to help, and many were helping themselves, like the Phillips family, who I visited with, and I have an update on how they're doing, and others there in the Virgin Islands. I would imagine you used to have windows here.
Doors.
Yes. Doors?
Yeah. The hurricane shutters ripped off. That's what happened, you know.
We first met the Phillips family last year. Despite their own circumstances, they jumped into action after their St. Thomas neighborhood was ravaged, first by Hurricane Irma and then by Maria. So it was out of necessity that you came up with this idea?
Yes. And because we were the only one left in this neighborhood with a roof.
The Phillips, with the help of their beautiful 12 children, cooked 250 meals daily for their community.
She took the china I purchased for her, and that's what we was using to feed the people until we got
why
donation.
you did that.
To give people back a little bit of humanity.
Yeah, little hope, little hope.
Hi, GMA. Since you last saw me, I've been cooking for a nonprofit group that's here in our islands helping us clean up. They're called All Hands and Hearts. I try to make special dishes for them so they can experience a little bit of the Caribbean.
Now working for the nonprofit, Mrs. Phillips turned her home kitchen into a fully functional commercial kitchen.
We have been cooking for 50 to 80 people every night except Sunday. Breakfast for dinner.
A hot and comforting meal and a friendly smile going a long way as the volunteers help to rebuild St. Thomas. You may remember Adopt a Family USVI, the care package initiative that sent thousands of supplies to the U.S. Virgin Islands at a crucial time.
You can't use it.
Then you hand it off.
You know somebody who can.
Well, the organization has since launched Adopt a Classroom.
We appreciate all your help and support and love that you're going to send us in those boxes.
Although class is back in session, 8 schools out of 32 public schools in the U.S. Virgin Islands were condemned, and many schools were badly damaged.
We have still have open ceiling. Each day it rains. We have a bucket there that's catching some of the water.
These devoted teachers now making the most with what they have.
I have a special delivery today.
Little boxes of joy to help lift their spirits.
Thank you.
To say that so far at least 165 classrooms have been adopted through Adopt a Classroom. There are still more waiting adoption, and there's so much good that's going on right now. We see all these organizations in Puerto Rico and in the Virgin Islands, and we really wanted our viewers to see what you're doing is making a difference.
Huge difference.
And I got to tell you, when I was there, that simple box, you know, I say simple box, it's a lifeline. You should see how people light up when they would open those boxes, and now with the classrooms you can do that as well.
I love what one of the gentlemen said. He said, if you don't need it, share what part of that box with somebody else. And that's really what they've done. And the teacher who said, you know, it rains in that corner of the classroom, but she's still teaching the kids in that classroom.
But we have to remember.
When you get that support from around the world, lets you know that people still love you and people are behind you and people are standing with you through the worst times of your life. And I think really appreciate it.
Like Eva said, take a trip. It's a win-win for everybody.
All those areas are really about tourism. Really would help them. Yeah.
And thank you guys for that. Really appreciate it. Really great.
Thank you at home for, you know, you watch the news all the time in GMA and you help, and it makes such a difference.
Very appreciated.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.